10 of our grocery items that will be going up in 2023. We've seen it for 2022. We've talked about some of these already, but now they're saying they're gonna even go up even higher when it comes to 2023. Let's jump into that list, but also ways that we can figure out how to mitigate some of those extra expenses by maybe growing some, maybe bulk buying. What are some of those options? Let's jump into that list today. 10 foods that are going up for 2023 and what we can do about it. Video starts right now. Hey guys, welcome to The Max. Thank you so much for being here and always tuning in to our channel. We are so thankful for you and your comments, and we do hope that you'll go down here, press subscribe, ring the bell, give us a thumbs up. The thumbs up does help us stay in the algorithm, and share this video to your friends and family because there is good information in it that could hopefully help you. Common sense approach, wisdom, and also ways that you can save money when it comes to maybe your food, your grocery bill, or just living this crazy life that we're living. So let's jump into the video. What are some of the foods that are going up that we have seen already go up, but they're saying it's going to go up even higher for this year? Number one is cereal. Now, cereal is definitely not the most healthy thing to eat. I would challenge you, hopefully you're eating around your table, having some breakfast, some sausage, and some biscuits. But to be honest with you, we're in a world that we are running and going always. Fast paced, if it's school, if it's work, and a lot of times people depend on cereals. Hopefully you're buying the better kind and not just sugary snacks. But cereal is going up in price. Not only is the price going up, watch your serving size, your box size. So you think of like shrinkflation. So you may say, well, my cereal has not gone up. Well, it has the amount per ounce has gone up. So for instance, if you were buying a box that was, 50 cents per ounce, is it costing you 72 per ounce? Meaning the box may have shrunk, the contents in the box may have shrunk, but the price may be the same. So it may be shrinkflation. Number two, we always preach gardens and vegetables. But because of the drought, especially like California has taken on, and some of the other areas that grow a lot of our food, even with imports and freighting and shipping it in, our vegetables will be in short supply. Because of fertilizer prices, because of droughts and rains. For instance, here, that's not been our problem. Our problem is we've had too many rains. Now, we're not growing for the masses. We're not a market gardener. We're growing for ourselves. But that also affects maybe me having to buy more garden vegetables. Now, we've learned to just, well, we'll do without that, and we're growing more of these for spring. We have a lot of canned vegetables that we canned from last year, so we're always ready. But say, for instance, people are dependent on the garden to come up and all of a sudden it doesn't, that means you're going to have more mouths to feed at the groceries of maybe already shortages that were taking place. So because of droughts, because of gardens not doing as well, because people are not growing as much food, because of shipping, freight, and fertilizers, we've seen that with lettuce and tomatoes pretty heavily already. Lettuce has cost a lot more. It's almost doubled in price or tripled in price for most places because, again, they've not been able to grow it because of some of the weather and droughts in some of these areas, especially California. Tomatoes was another biggie, and we'll see a big influx of those prices going up in processed tomatoes such as our ketchup, tomato paste, tomato sauces. So I challenge you, grow a garden. We're going to be doing a video, a survival garden style video with a lot of our seed providers, and it needs to be started soon, guys. We need to be growing our gardens. It'll start off with potatoes for us for this season, but we'll be doing a video on that, and you need to be growing more of your food. The more you grow, the less you have to purchase, the less you have to feel maybe the shock of prices going up or the fact that there may be shortages in the ones that you like the most. Thirdly is chicken. I've mentioned this several times. I made a whole video on it just a few weeks ago. But we hear egg prices going up. We hear meat prices going up. Sadly, when we hear about egg prices going up, where does the egg come from? It comes from the chicken. Well, the chicken issues are the same problem as the egg issues. We're either seeing the flu issues with the birds, the sickness, the diseases, because the way we raise our birds, not us personally, but maybe conventional growers. Also, the feed has went up because of the wheats, the grains, the soy, the whatever they're feeding these birds. It's cost more. So therefore, I go back and say, if you can raise chickens, you need to be raising chickens. Now, we have chicken houses, we have pull behind chicken tractors, we have so many ways that we have raised chickens, and we have tons of videos on raising chickens and incubating and making sure you have chickens, not only eggs, but meat chickens. Cornish cross, we actually have some coming in just a few weeks from now, and we'll be doing videos on them. Also, we're going to be showing you a video of how we raise our chickens with our rabbits. Very awesome, because it not only gives you free fertilizer, it keeps them safe, and you're using one habitat for both animals. Chickens are going up in price. You've got to start bulk buying. There's a lot of times if you go to places like Sam's or Costco or big groceries, they will have major sales on bulk buying. Do that. Also, there's places that grow their own chickens on farm, and you can buy them strictly off farm. I would challenge you to do the same thing with eggs. If you can buy from that local farmer, not only are you helping them out, you're helping yourself out, you're building your community, and it's also most likely will save you money. I'll tell you another option. Go work at a little chicken producer. Work at one of these little farms that's producing Cornish cross. We have some people here that will come, and they'll come butcher and help us butcher and process our chickens. Well, we pay them in chicken. So it's a great bartering tool, but it allows them to leave with some food. It also allows them to learn something, but to leave with a chicken or two, or depending on however many we worked out and however many they did. Me and this farmer, we could be partners in growing chicken. Number 4 is another meat. It's beef. We talked beef, but not really beef as in just ground. It's our steaks. We've heard several times, especially when it comes to kind of a global movement, that beef will be for the higher and upper class folks. Well, I like a steak, and I'm surely not higher and upper class. We do grow ours. We have one big steer growing right there in that last pasture. So we're fixing to process him. Now, steaks have went up tremendously at the grocery store. I remember when me and Misty first got married, we were paying $4 or $5 an ounce for a nice quality steak. Now, then it went up to 9 and 10, then it went to 12 and 13. Now, there's sometimes you're paying upwards of 19, 20, 21, $22 for cuts of steak. That blows my mind, because now we're raising meat for $3 to $4 a pound or less. I have videos on how we raise our steers. Actually, it's been less than that, to be honest with you, depending on if you're doing grass or grain-fed meat. But if you can't raise your meat, which a lot of people can't understand, especially bigger meats such as beef, steaks are going up. So you have two ways to look at this. Okay, either I have to buy bulk steaks, I have to buy the whole cut of a steak. So say, for instance, you buy the whole piece and you cut your own steaks, depending on what you like best, if it be a ribeye, sirloin, or so forth. You can cut your own, and it usually saves you some money. Sometimes if you go to a butcher, they'll have extra meat that they've gotten that they couldn't sell, and you can say, hey, let me buy your bulk meat. You can buy it off the hoof and hanging weight. That's a way that you tend to can save money. People think you can't, but you really can. You just have to negotiate with the farmer. So there's ways you can save, but when it comes to it, steaks will cost you more this year. You may be eating a hamburger steak instead of a ribeye. So you need to make sure that you're preparing for, if you like red meat and you like steak, there's other ways. You better start bulk buying, either buying the cow itself, helping grow a steer out through a co-op or through another farm, or working with your butcher to buy the big slabs so you can cut your own. Ways to save. I mentioned this with the chicken, but number 5 would be the eggs. Now, eggs have skyrocketed. Everybody's talked about eggs going up, eggs going up, eggs going up. Sadly, eggs have not hit the increase that some of the other foods that we are going to see for this year. So number 5 would be eggs. Please start growing your own eggs. It is not hard to grow hens, even in a lot of cities. Now, they don't want to rooster cock-a-doodle-doo and like you hear in our videos most of the time, but you can grow some hens. Hens are very easy to grow. If you're growing 3 or 4 hens or 6 hens, you're going to get a few eggs a day, especially when they start laying. If you're like us and you can grow 20 or 30 hens and then you can incubate, you have a sustainable meat source and protein source with your eggs. Chickens don't eat a lot, especially if you're letting them free range, especially if you can feed them off the gardens, especially if you're rotating them. Then it's not costing you as much compared to just having them just in a laying box. If you're just in a laying box and you have them in a little chicken run, that's okay too, but you will have a little bit more food that you will have to supplement. But please understand, eggs are going up in price and you need to find ways to mitigate that. For instance, if you're growing your own chickens, and a lot of times people say, well, we grow so many in spring, I don't know what to do with them all. Learn how to water glass eggs. We have over 500 water glassed eggs we actually need to start eating. Learn how to dehydrate eggs. Learn how to freeze eggs. There's different ways. We have a freeze dryer, so we freeze dry eggs. We have thousands of eggs just based on ways of preservation. So we don't lose the option of having more eggs. We're able to utilize them all season long and even have them for shortages or the fact that they're costing more, they won't cost us more. Number 6 would be margarine and butter. Now we're going to talk about dairy a little bit later, but when it comes to margarine and butter, it's actually went up more incrementally, either through shrinkflation and cost per ounce, or the fact that it's just going to cost you more based on the size that you're already purchasing. We talked about this not too long ago with other oils. If we don't pay attention to fats and we don't have ways to cook our foods, that's going to be big. When it comes to the cost of food, this is what people don't realize. The food goes up, but what we cook our food in goes up. That means that meal has not only went up by just the food price, it's went up by what we're actually using to cook the food in. So I come back to fats and oils. It's highly looked upon as something that we don't weigh our options with. But fats and oils are going up in price. Margarine and butter are not cheap. Lard. Lard is a great asset. I have a video coming out on lard and talking about 10 ways that lard can be utilized around your home. Lard is something that tends to be a lot cheaper than most other fat sources because it's not as processed. You can usually pick up lard and render it down yourself from a butcher or from a pig farmer or from someone, like say for instance, if you're buying a pig on hoof and you're buying it at market like you would a steer, a lot of times you will get the lard back. If you don't tell the butcher that you want that, or you don't know how to cut your own pig up, which we have videos on that, you don't realize how much food you're wasting. Having the lard off your hog, especially heritage breed hogs, allows you to process your own fats and to save money without having to spend all the extra for all the processed additives that goes into all these oils and margarines. Go back to your natural sources of fat, butter and lard, and both of those things you can do by working with a local farmer, maybe growing your own, or learning how to be innovative and talking to your butcher and saying, you know what, I want to find ways to do this. How can I find ways to get this or do this? How can I buy lard from you? Do you know a dairy farm that I can go to? You'd be surprised. A lot of those answers are out there and a lot of those solutions are there. It just takes you asking people. We actually just mentioned this about dairy. Next would be the milk. Milk is going up in price emphatically, especially if you're buying a quality milk. The sad thing is we've destroyed our milk dairy industry the same way we're doing with beef right now. We try to make all these different versions of it. Well, there's only one dairy milk. We've got now soy milk and we've got almond milk, and for all you people who are drinking that, most of the time the reason you have problems with drinking milk is because the milk that you're buying from the store is so processed. Go back to raw dairy milk, how important it is to our body. Natural bacteria and natural fats that we need is unprocessed. It's really good for our health. If you can find a way to buy raw local dairy milk, again, know your source, know your farmer, go out and look at his farm. If you can buy it and y'all can work out something, it's better for you. If you can't, quit buying this conventional, fully pasteurized, fully homogenized milk. Not only is it going up in price, but we're seeing that it's actually not that good for you. That's why a lot of people have problems with it. Well, if you're buying all this, this soy milk and almond milk, you're actually paying even more for milk, quote unquote milk. So go back to the source. Go back to buying raw dairy milk. If it's illegal to buy in your state, first of all, that's overregulation. Secondly, you need to find ways that you can get around that. Maybe you can buy it for animal consumption. Maybe you can work it out with a local farmer where you're getting paid in old excess milk and not having to buy it, because buying it is wrong. Maybe he can give it to you because you're parking at his farm and you're paying him a parking fee. There's ways around that. And I'm not saying do something that's wrong or illegal. I'm just saying be innovative and creative. Milk is going up in price. Buy higher quality milk, and it tends to be more expensive. But not only is this a money issue, it's a health issue. Next is bananas. Now, I love bananas, but bananas are not really native to a lot of American climate and how we grow. They tend to grow better in some of the tropics and some of those areas that are more south than us. So we see that bananas are coming in short supply. Why? Because again, some of the weather issues that people are having, but shipping and freight it's caused major issues. If we're used to having things that typically don't grow here and we're buying those from a grocery store, it allows us to enjoy other things. But when we get used to those things and then we can't have them, or say for instance they cost more, it's not the fact that you won't see bananas at your store. You'll see bananas, but where they were literally one of the cheapest and most economic fruits that you used to could buy, now they're becoming pretty expensive. Now, it's like eggs. I hear this all the time from naysayers. Well, we don't have the shortages y'all have. Oh, our eggs are only $3 instead of $1.50. Well, if everything that you have in your buggy doubles in price, even at $1 or a few cents a piece, and you buy 100 things in your buggy, your prices have skyrocketed and your grocery buggy will double in price. If everything that you have is $1 more and you buy 50 of those, it's $100 more. People don't realize it. It's the small things. So if bananas were 30 cents a pound and now they're 60 cents a pound, or if they're 20 cents a pound and now they're 30 cents a pound, I don't know what you're paying for your bananas. But ultimately, if they cost you more, it's gonna hurt your bottom line. And also that means you gotta decide, is it worth it? I go back to this. We can't grow bananas, even though I love bananas, but we can grow berries. We can grow strawberries and blueberries very well. So sometimes we change our palate and our diets to represent what we can grow. Same way with lettuce and tomatoes. If you can't grow those, but you can grow peas, you need to maybe look at some options there. Same way with potatoes. If you can't grow, if you can't grow white and yellow potatoes, which are a cool crop, then you can grow sweet potatoes. Now we can grow russet potatoes, but then we can grow sweet potatoes a whole lot better because we're in the hotter climates and warmer climates. So sometimes you change your palate based on the cost of things. So if bananas, maybe you can't afford them, maybe they're more expensive. Find things you can grow or things you can get local, and maybe you're still getting a quality diet at a little bit less price. We talked about lard a little bit ago. Now let's talk about the rest of the hog. Hogs, like chickens and like beef, it seems like our globalists is pushing against meat and the production of conventional meat. Now, I do not agree with how some people grow animals. I think it's the wrong approach, such as feedlots or internal chicken houses or even big pig operations. However, because of that and the push against it, and because you don't have guys like me who are growing, forest raised pork, and if you don't see that a lot to grow for the masses, then we're going to see either shortages in some of these meats or we're going to see the prices skyrocket. Now, one thing about a pig, the most expensive cuts of a pig tends to be, of course, the pork loin, the pork chop, and the bacon. The bacon is becoming very expensive. Have you bought bacon lately? Now, here's what you need to do. If you can grow a hog out and you can buy a pork belly from a butcher, then you can learn how to cure your own bacon, and it saves you a tremendous amount of money. And it's actually better because you can make the taste a little bit more personalized to you. I have a video on how we cured our bacon, making with a salt and sugar without a true nitrate and without any kind of preservatives. So can you buy a pig off the hoof? Can you buy just a pork belly from the butcher? Bacon has went up tremendously if you just go to Walmart and purchase it. If you were paying $4 or $5 a pound for bacon, now you're paying $6 and $7 a pound. Sometimes you're even paying more than that. I looked at a store the other day. I'm not going to call the name of the store because I don't know this store well. I just went into this little market, and this market was charging, it was like $10 for a pack of bacon. It was like a half a pound. That's crazy. If, again, everything in our buggy goes up, then we've got to find ways to save money elsewhere, or we got to find ways to be innovative and grow our bacon ourselves, or find ways that you can buy it strictly off the hoof. If you can buy a whole hog and you can process it yourself, or if you let your butcher process it where you don't even touch it other than just buying it in bulk, you're going to save money on every cut. If you're paying $3 or $4 a pound for the whole hog per pound, that means your ground pork may be a little bit more expensive, but your bacon's a lot cheaper. Your pork chops are a lot cheaper. So understanding how to buy from the farmer and how to buy from the butcher and how to buy in bulk will save you money. Because if you had to just buy your bacon by the pound or by the ounce at your local grocer, you're failing the fact that it has went up tremendously. And guess what? It's not going down in price even this year. Next, this is like the bananas. We've gotten so accustomed to coffee. We enjoy drinking coffee. I personally love coffee. No matter what coffee you drink, whatever brands you're drinking, most of those are imported from overseas. If not, you're buying from a very small local coffee grower, and it's not a lot of it. Now, there's been variations of this, and people's made all this kind of like, quote, coffee in America, but to be honest with you, most of it is still imported. Most of it is still shipped straight in on ships and trains and planes and every way to get it to you. Well, the price is showing those shipping freight costs. The prices are showing the problems they had with growing the crop this year. Some of those areas didn't get good rains. Some of those areas got monsoons. And then you add the freight cost on top of that. You add the labor cost on top of that. You add the shipping cost, not only to get it here to America, then to get it to your local store. We've talked about groceries going up. Since I remember, coffee used to be one of the cheapest things to purchase. Now, if you're buying a pack of coffee, unless you're buying the cheapest off-brand, you're gonna pay $5 to $7 for a 30 or 40 cup packet. If you're buying a bigger packet, sometimes, or a more well-known brand, you may be paying a lot more. You may be paying closer to $10 to $14. It's something that we as Americans tend to love. But because, again, we're importing a lot of that, and the cost of importing is getting more expensive, you're gonna see that breakfast meal, not only your bacons, not only your cereals change, not only your eggs, your dairy, but you're gonna see it in your coffee too. I remember when me and Misty first got married, which is not that long ago, 06, a whole buggy's worth of food for hardly just like $100. You were piling food into the buggy. Now you'll have one little shopping bag and it costs you $100. We can't continue to do that. So solutions to this: grow your own food. For instance, we don't have a lot of pecans in this area, but there's a local guy who does not pick up his pecans, so we go pick them up. You can do that with jams and jellies. Maybe you don't grow blueberries or strawberries or pears or apples, but there's a guy down the road that lets his fig tree go, or lets his apples go, or he's too elderly, he can't pick it all. Go in there and say, look, I'll pick it for you and I'll make your jams and jellies, but can I have the rest of it? You'd be surprised how much a community can work together to help each other and save money when it comes to certain things. Fats, lards, dairy, eggs, chickens, meat, all these things, I would say 80% of them, they could be grown locally or work together with your neighbors and find them and make ways to save money with it. Either bulk buying, or buying from our local farm, or buying from our local gardens, or learning how to garden. A lot of these can be handled. Now, can you grow your own coffee? Bananas, probably not. So you have to learn, okay, bulk buy, or we learn to supplement. Maybe I need to go to a tea that can be grown locally. Maybe I need to go to a berry instead of a banana. There's ways to save, be innovative, be creative, and find ways to, you know, save some money at the grocery store, because all these things are going up, and these are just 10. There's hundreds of them going up. Do what's best for you and your family. Be wise, have common sense approach, budget, and always know there's solutions to any problem. Thank you guys for watching. God bless. Happy homesteading, y'all.